Developing tonight, new questions about the man the White House has nominated to a top position at the DOJ, a lawyer who once volunteered to defend an infamous cop killer. Philadelphia officer Daniel Faulkner was brutally murdered more than 3 decades ago, shot 5 times, including while he was down and his assaulter was looking him in the face. He was killed by this man, Mumia Abu-Jamal, who never denied the murder, but whose case became a cause for the political left, including an attorney named Debo Adigbole. He volunteered to help the killer with his appeals and is now up to head up the Civil Rights Division at the Department of Justice. Trace Gallagher has the story live in our West Coast newsroom. Trace?
And Megan, Mumia Abu-Jamal was convicted by a jury of 10 white people and 2 black people. And because the evidence against him was so powerful, the verdict from the jury came back after less than 6 hours of deliberating. They sentenced him to death after less than 2 hours of deliberations. When the DOJ nominee, Debo Adigbole, was with the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, he fought to defend Abu-Jamal, claiming there was racial discrimination in the jury selection and that the jury was not given proper instructions. The discrimination charge was denied, but the fight resulted in Abu-Jamal, who, as you said, shot Officer Daniel Faulkner 5 times, including once 12 inches from his face, having his death sentence overturned. But despite arguing that Abu-Jamal's conviction was about race, Adigbole told the Senate Judiciary Committee it was only about justice. Listen.
Our commitment in the Constitution is to follow our procedural rules, even in those hardest cases, perhaps especially in those hardest cases, so that all of our rights can be vindicated.
Yet we have now learned that at a rally for Mumia Abu-Jamal in 2011, this woman, the attorney for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund named Christina Swarm, said it was an honor to defend Abu-Jamal, going on to say, quoting here, "There is no question in the mind of anyone at the Legal Defense Fund that the justice system has utterly and completely failed Mumia Abu-Jamal. And in our view, that has everything to do with race, and that is why the Legal Defense Fund is in this case." Also, after seeing Maureen Faulkner on the Kelly File last night, Senate Republicans have now contacted her, and then she tells Fox News that she will file a petition to make public her complaints against the nominee, Debo Adigbole. Megan.
Trace, thank you. Well, the NAACP may be standing by this defendant, but the largest, and by this nominee, I should say, to the DOJ, but the largest police organization in America thinks the president's nomination sends a decidedly different message. And in a letter to the president, the National Fraternal Order of Police president writes, quote, "This nomination can be interpreted in only one way. It is a thumb in the eye of our nation's law enforcement officers." Chuck Canterbury is the man behind that letter and the president of the Fraternal Order of Police. Also joining me is Pennsylvania Congressman Mike Fitzpatrick, who wrote a similar letter of his own to President Obama, along with the support of several other lawmakers. Representative Fitzpatrick, let me start with you. You write to the president saying, "I could not be more incensed and confounded. These attorneys perverted the justice system and have made a mockery of the jury's verdict." You urge him to reconsider the nomination. Why are you so incensed?
Well, Megan, first, thank you for keeping the spotlight on this case, because although it's been 33 years, the city of Philadelphia and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania have not forgotten what happened, that Mumia Abu-Jamal, who at the time was going by the name Wesley Cook, is a convicted cop killer, and that over the course of 33 years, he converted himself into some sort of a political prisoner, and from prison, he created a whole cottage industry of tapes and speeches and radio shows. And after 33 years, the Legal Defense Fund and this nominee decided to insert themselves on behalf of the convicted cop killer rather than protecting the constitutional and the civil rights of the victim, namely Daniel Faulkner, the fallen Philadelphia police officer.
Is there any question whether he did it, whether he committed the crime?
I don't think there's any question. As we heard in the intro, a jury of his peers convicted him. He was sentenced by a judge. The case has been to the United States Supreme Court. He was given an opportunity to testify. His own brother was a witness to the case, and in 33 years has never defended Abu-Jamal during the whole 33-year time frame.
Let me ask you, Chuck, because we heard the nominee, Debo Adigbole, the one who they want to take over this top post at DOJ. We heard him testify before the Senate 2 days or yesterday and say, look, You don't have to like the defendant you're representing, but we saw a legal wrong here. And by the way, the legal case we argued, we won. We got the death sentence thrown out because we feel the jury wasn't given the proper instructions. And so, you know, by necessity, he says, I've been vindicated in my legal position. Why are you so upset about this man's nomination?
Well, I think the statement by the NAACP attorney with the LDF clearly said that their position all along was that Wesley Cook, a.k.a. Mumia Jamal, was a political prisoner. He's not. He's a convicted murderer. He killed Daniel Faulkner in cold blood. The facts of the case are clear. They've always been clear. And the fact that they interjected themselves and helped him to become a cause celeb all over the world, not just in the United States. St. Croix, France, tried to name a street after Mumia Jamal. He's a murderer. And they helped to promulgate the fact that he was some sort of political prisoner. Is absolutely ridiculous.
So they weren't court appointed. I mean, this is they volunteered. This guy included this nominee. He volunteered to help this man.
Absolutely, and many people in the organization led rallies all over the country to free Mumia, free Mumia. He's a convicted murderer. The court said he was a convicted murderer 32 years ago. He's never, those charges of murder have never been disputed by Wesley Cook, and the only part of the case that was overturned was the death sentence. And frankly, we're not concerned about that. What we're concerned about is that they turned a cab driver into a martyr, and he's not. He's a murderer.
Representative, my question to you, his defense when questioned about this before the Senate Judiciary Committee, because this guy needs to be confirmed, was, I'm a lawyer. Lawyers represent a lot of people, good, bad. You know, it doesn't mean that we're just like them. It's a matter of upholding the Constitution. Why is that not an acceptable answer to you?
Well, certainly, you know, that's an answer, but, you know, he could have inserted himself in any one of a number of cases throughout the country. They decided to insert themselves in a 33-year-old case of a clearly convicted cop killer from the city of Philadelphia. The facts were uncontradicted.
Well, what does that tell you about this nominee? I mean, for the folks watching at home thinking about Debu Adigbole becoming our next civil rights top chief at the DOJ, what does it tell you?
His attorneys, at the conclusion, attended a rally in the city of Philadelphia and said they could not have been prouder than to have had the opportunity not to represent justice, not to fight for the Constitution, but to represent Mumia Abu Jamal. And the fact that they chose to insert themselves in this 33-year-old case pretty much tells you all you need to know about this nominee and about the administration's commitment to constitutional and civil rights of victims and of police officers.
Wow. And I know, Chuck, that you say it is a thumb in the eye, that it demonstrates a lack of regard or empathy for those who strive to keep the president and everyone else in our nation safe. We will see whether the nomination proceeds as expected. Gentlemen, thank you both.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you, Megan.